It is July 9th at 10 o'clock, and I'm speaking with Betty Cook. Ms. Cook, whenever you're ready, if you'd like to talk about your beginning.
Well, I was raised in Meeker, Colorado, which is about 49 miles south of here. Went to school there. It's a small town. There was 150 of us in the in this whole high school. There was a small class, yeah. And I think there was 32 of us in my graduating class. My parents, both, my mother grew up in Meeker, and my dad came from Nebraska, actually.
Okay.
And I have 3 brothers and 2 sisters. A brother and a sister are both dead.
Okay.
After I graduated from high school, my English teacher encouraged me to go to Denver and become an X-ray technician. Her brother was a leading radiologist in Colorado at the time, so that's what I did. Mm-hmm. And I came back and worked in the Meeker Hospital.
Okay.
And I met my husband, and that ended my career working at that type of thing, and we moved to a place called Wilson Creek and lived there for 3 years, and then we moved to Rangeley.
Okay.
And then we moved here to Craig. Okay. And I've lived in Craig now for 54 years maybe.
And how did Craig compare to those other places you'd lived?
Well, it's a little larger place, and we moved here. We actually have a farm north of town, and Ori was driving back and forth to the farm, and it just was much easier to live in Craig than at the other places. Since then, he's retired, and we both live in Craig. My 3 children. I have 2 sons and a daughter, and I have 6 grandchildren.
What was it like raising a family in Craig?
It was pretty nice, actually. My kids did very well in school, and they liked the farm. Both of my sons still farm, and my daughter's married to a does construction work. My grandchildren Cody works for his dad. That's my oldest grandson, and the other grandson is the lawyer in Atlantic City, Georgia.
Okay.
He's a real smart young man. And my one granddaughter has a degree in construction management, and at the time is living in Texas, I believe, but she is working in Oklahoma.
Okay.
And the other granddaughter, who is a twin, lives here in Craig and is a massage therapist.
Right.
And my 2 youngest grandchildren they're 18, so they haven't chosen a career yet.
Okay. Would you say that Craig was very family-oriented then?
Yes, it is.
What would you do on the weekends or after school for recreation with them?
We had a small camper, and we took camping trips. When the kids were young, we all went, and at the time we didn't have a camper. We just camped fixed up the back of the pickup and stayed in it. And what did we do when the kids were young? Boy, when they were young, we worked quite a lot.
Right.
Since they've kind of grown up, they're all grown. They're in their 50s now. And
what was school like for them?
For them? Actually, it was just pretty good. My kids were pretty smart and well-liked. And
that's good.
They all were in band, but the oldest one stayed in it better than the younger 2. They were officers in their classes. They were real well-liked kids. My daughter was, what do they call her? She was a freshman. Oh, they didn't call them friends. What did they call them back then?
Which one?
Huh?
In college or in?
No, in just high school. No, none of them went to college.
Oh, okay.
That they all could have, but they chose not to.
Prom?
Yeah, they all.
Is that what you were looking for?
Sherry was a prom queen at one time,
Okay.
And Curtis was an attendant in the high school graduating class, and Don was secretary of his class in high school.
Wow.
They were well-liked children.
It's very involved.
Yeah, they were involved in school things. However, they just all three chose to stay here.
Right.
So.
And in your time in Craig, how have you seen the city develop?
Craig, well, it has grown quite a lot from the time that we first moved here. There was about 8,000 then, and I think there's about 13,000 now, so it's grown a little bit.
Okay. And you came in the 60s?
We came in 1958.
1958.
We moved to Craig, and after we were here 5 years, we moved to the farm, what I call the farm. We lived out there, and that's where the kids grew up and rode the school bus. Because they were old enough to drive, and then they drove.
So the population has gone up a little bit.
Yeah, it's gone up some. It's kind of slow, but it has gone up some.
Has it become more modern, bringing in paved streets and conveniences like that?
I suppose. I really don't remember when the streets weren't paved.
Oh, okay. So maybe it came after that.
Of course, it has changed some. At one time, this downtown area was where the grocery stores were. We had 3 drugstores right in this block.
Oh, really? And what happened to them?
Well, the Walmart and Kmart came in and opened their pharmacies, and they just went out of business.
They couldn't compete.
One of them kind of went in with the Walmart, I believe. But they and now here downtown, we have the museum. My daughter has the antique store next door.
Oh, that's your daughter? Okay.
Yeah, I forgot to mention that.
Yeah.
That is my daughter.
Okay.
Let me think. My one son is on the hospital board.
Okay. Is that the new hospital that was built?
Up on the hill. And the other one has just a pretty active farm. He raises hay, and mostly hay now.
Okay.
And it's his daughter that's the construction engineer.
Wow. How did you see the booms come in, especially in the late 70s, the early 80s, when the power plant and the mine came in?
I don't think how that changed things, but yes, I'm sure that it did change the town. It grew from that, of course. I'm not very good at that.
Oh, no, that's fine. Did you feel it impact your life at all, or how did you feel it impact your life?
I can't say that it impacted my life much. We were farmers at the time, and during that boom.
Right.
And none of my family was active in the mining or the oil even. They were just farmers.
Okay. What was farming like? What did you farm?
Wheat and hay, alfalfa.
Okay.
Wheat mostly at the time, dryland wheat. And some years we had good crops, and other years they weren't so good.
Why is that?
It was too dry. There was no rain.
Too dry.
One year it hailed, and we stood at our window and watched the hail just flatten the wheat. That was pretty discouraging, I'll tell you.
Yeah, I bet. Wow. So do you remember any significant droughts? Were there any times where farming just wasn't working?
Well, there was some terrible droughts. We had two major ones that I remember, and it just did not rain. And we, at that year, one year, we had 3 bushels the acre wheat, and that's very, very poor. That doesn't even pay to go out in the field and cut it. Sherry and I thought we'd go out and cut what we could. Or my husband, he said, well, whatever you cut, you can sell and keep money. We made $75, you know. It was just really poor. Anyway, yeah, there was some kind of bad years, okay.
Wow.
But we were able to get loans from the bank, and we paid them all back right away. We never owed a thing. And as far as Lori and I are concerned, we used to, quite a few years ago, for 12 years, we went to Arizona in the winter, which was really kind of fun.
Right.
Got away from the cold weather for a while. But for the last, I guess 12 years, we haven't gone down there, other than just maybe a couple of weeks trip down and back, you know.
Right.
And my kids' life, I don't know, they've done pretty well.
Okay. You said some of them, your kids all still live locally. Are any of them still farming, did you say?
Actually, yes, they are. Don, my oldest son, leases all of the land out to other farmers. Curtis, he's my middle child, and he still does his own farming pretty much, all but the wheat, and he leases that. But he puts up his own hay. He and the girls, he gets them to work as much as he can. And his wife is a dental hygienist. Okay. In town.
Were there any particularly good years for farming?
Oh, yes.
And why were they good?
2 or 3. Because of the rain.
Because of the rain.
We have to have moisture. This time of the year we need it bad, and it hardly ever rains in July. And when the wheat is trying to grow in in the last of May and early June, we really need the rains, and lots of times we didn't have any at all. It can be pretty dry here.
Right.
The sagebrush seems like that's all we could see sometimes, and that's not very encouraging. But we did put the land in the ASC program, which is a government program.
Okay.
They leased the land, and then we just let it lay fallow. We no longer farmed it, and they did it. And after that, actually, we did better than when we did it ourselves, because we knew just what we were going to get each year.
So they paid you not to farm?
That's right, which really bothers a lot of people. Right. But it wasn't our choice, really.
Right.
It was, you either had to do it or you it was just, and it worked out well for us. It made it a lot easier.
And if you don't mind me asking, when did that start?
The farm program?
The farm subsidies.
I remember sitting there and crying. It was when, about 1980 maybe.
Okay. And from that point on, the government said, was that something that was happening all over?
Oh, yes. It wasn't just here. It's all over the country.
All over the country. But how was Craig affected by that?
The city.
Were there a lot of farmers here that felt that?
You know, like our little towns in the West, they began because of the farmers and ranchers.
Right.
I mean, that was their beginning. And so I expect that they were effective. Maybe it was better after we started knowing just exactly what we were going to get.
Right. Better economically for you, for sure.
We knew what we could plan, and living in a small town in agriculture is really good. You know everyone.
Right.
You get to know everyone, and they know you, and they know whether they can trust you. They give you credit, and it's actually pretty nice.
Okay.
I think.
Right.
Living in the small towns.
Just comfortable.
No, we're not any of us rich or anything, but we're comfortable, you know.
And how would you say you growing up in Meeker compared to how your children grew up here in Craig? Similar or different, either way?
As I said, I grew up as a child in Meeker. My dad, who was a hard-working man but did not have steady work, so it was very difficult for my mother with us 6 kids. There were 6 of us. She had to really struggle to raise us. Mm-hmm. And I say she because Daddy said, well, here's what I made. You can do with what you can with it, you know. And then he didn't worry, and it was up to Mother to worry about it. And we raised a big, big garden. He did raise a big garden. Mm-hmm. And in later years, about the time I married my husband, he got this janitorial job at the hospital and had a steady income. And they did so much better, just having steady income.
Right.
My mother just passed away 2 years ago this spring. She would have been 100. Wow. And my dad's been gone for about 30 years, really. But, we were poor, but a very well-liked family in Newford. I was even president of the student body.
Oh, okay.
Which was just a small school, you know. But still, it was an honor at the time. I was real proud of it. I had good friends, and so many of them are gone now, but I'm one of the lucky, healthy ones.
Right. That's good. What was the kerosene lamp story that was mentioned? If you don't mind me asking.
I don't mind. I wish I brought the story, because when I was young, we did not have electricity when I was very young. And so the kerosene lamp played a big part in everything. We had a kerosene lamp, and we'd sit around that to do our homework or play cards. I can't remember what all I wrote in that story.
That's no problem. The kerosene lamp was important, though.
Oh, it was important. The kerosene lamp, and isn't that funny? I can't remember what all I wrote about that.
That's okay. When did you eventually get electricity in Meeker?
Oh, yes, and I was actually pretty young. I think I was about 7.
Oh, okay. So it came earlier on.
So it came early, and yes, But we had the light in the center of the room. You had a string that you pulled it on and off with. There was no switches.
Right.
And at that time we had a coal stove and a heater. And that's how we heated the house, was with coal or wood.
Is that where you did a lot of cooking as well?
Say that again?
Any cooking?
Oh, my land, we did lots and lots of cooking. My mother did, and I don't feel like I was a good cook. My kids are grown, and I'm not cooking like I used to, of course, but I was a good cook.
That's good.
And my mother was a really good cook, too. I have a sister and a brother still living in Meeker, and a brother living in Grand Junction. So that's my family. I'm the oldest one now in the family, and I'm no spring chicken anymore, but I actually do pretty good.
That's good. Is there anything else you'd just like to add about Craig or Meeker or your experiences in general?
Well, Craig's been good to us. You know, it's been good to my children. They're well-liked kids, adults now. Sherry just does pretty well for a little store here in town, you know.
Right.
And my boys are both pretty, no, they've done just pretty good in their farming. Curtis, the second one, raises hay and wheat. And Don pretty much leases his out, and they raise, I guess they mostly raise wheat up there. I don't know for sure what all they do. But it's all dry land, which depends on Mother Nature for moisture, you know.
Right.
Ori and I are still in pretty good health. Pretty active, yeah. We loved to dance when we were younger. We were good dancers.
Where would you go to dance?
Well, when we first met, we met in Meeker, and at that time they had a dance at least once a month.
Oh, okay.
And that's where I learned to dance as a young teenager, and that's where I met Ori, was at a dance. And he was a good dancer, too. So we had a good time dancing. When we went to Arizona, and we started going down there in about 90, 91, and we did a lot of dancing, had a good time down there.
What type of dancing?
Oh, jitterbugging, which
okay.
is, yeah, really jitterbugged a lot. And waltzing, two-step.
Did you ever come to dances here in this building?
No, we didn't. I don't think they had dances here.
Oh, okay. I wasn't sure if they did.
No, let's see. Actually, Craig just didn't have much of any place to dance.
Really?
So I know. We never. Did we ever come? We just didn't have. There wasn't much of any place to dance here in Craig. They didn't have them like they did in Meeker. It was called the IOOF Hall, and they had a live band at the time, and so.
Right.
And we got married, and then we moved to Rangeley, a little old oil town. And we didn't dance there at all, and didn't know. And then we moved to Craig from there, and we were busy raising our family and working on the farm, and just didn't have time to do dancing and all. So.
Right. Until later on.
And that's when we went to Arizona, after the kids were raised, of course, and we'd retired.
Right.
And that's when they're going to have pinochle in here.
Okay, no problem.
I've actually said about everything that...
That's excellent.
That's what you think.
Yeah, no, that's really good. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.